Please remove your hats as we honor the nation's flag with the playing of the Star-Spangled Banner. Thank you. Please be seated. I'd now like to introduce sophomore class president Elizabeth Bowling.
When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home of the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Throughout this nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors. We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the 650,000 American service members who died in battle, or the 1.4 million who were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans living today. These words are inscribed on the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and people they never met. Those words apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veterans as well. They apply to today's active duty service members, tomorrow's veterans, who are helping maintain peace throughout the world. Today, it is our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifices. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today, we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and the home of the brave. I'd like to introduce the elementary 5th grade students directed by Mrs. Karen Green singing America the Beautiful.
Oh
I'd like to introduce the middle and high school choir directed by Mr. Kevin Lockwood singing An American Celebration. I would like to introduce freshman class Vice President Grace Early.
Williamsburg local schools are very fortunate to have veteran Ken Ellis with us in our audience today. Ken is a member of the Williamsburg American Legion. He served our country in the United States Navy from 1965 to 1969. Please help me give a grateful welcome to our 2021 Veterans Day program speaker, Ken Ellis.
I know this is what all you want. So this is my talk right there, so it's not going to be very long. For those who know me, problem is I never quit talking. The first thing I want to ask, is there anybody in the audience who has a child on active duty? And if you do, would you please stand? I want to thank you particularly because you are the reason for Veterans Day. We think Veterans Day is strictly about the veteran. It is, but it's also about the parents and the grandparents of our veterans, our people who are serving. And I want to thank you. The first Veterans Day per se was called Armistice Day. And it was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, which was the end of the first war, which was called the Great War, and it was also called the War to End All Wars. Well, we know where that went. It was changed to Veterans Day in 1954 by President Eisenhower. And then in 1971, some politicians decided it was better to have Veterans Day on the fourth Monday in October. It might have stayed that way, except veterans wouldn't allow it. Veterans would not celebrate it on the fourth Monday in October. All of our veterans continued to celebrate it on November 11th. It's a day that we as veterans want to thank our fellow veterans. I wrote this down. It says, Veterans Day is not a day belonging to veterans, but a day for honoring veterans. And that is my feelings. I can almost guarantee you if our government asked any veteran if they would come back to active duty, I would say 90+% of them would do it because they are dedicated to you and your country. One other thing I need to tell you is, and this is not known by a lot of people, a lot of veterans particularly, a veteran may leave his hat on during the national anthem. This was an act of Congress about a half a dozen years ago. And Congress says a veteran can leave his hat on and salute the flag during the national anthem and the pledge. So that's just a little information for some of our veterans. I like leaving mine on. And I'm going to have a couple of seniors come up here and ask me questions. They know who they are, and I helped them a little bit, but I really don't know exactly what they're going to ask. But there's two things you really three. You don't ask a veteran what his politicians are, because you don't ask anybody. But you never, ever ask a veteran whether he killed somebody. If he has, he's not proud of it. If he did, it was something he had to do being in the active military. And unless somebody is rearing pin that has a Purple Heart on it, you don't ask him if he was ever wounded. If he wants you to know that he's been wounded, he will either have a Purple Heart hat on, or he will have something, a medal or a ribbon, and they are purple. And you can look around and see the veterans out here with their different military hats on. We are all proud of the branch that we served in. We all ridicule the other branches continuously, but when it comes down to standing behind each other's back, that's where we are. I was in the Navy and I was proud of it. My nephew was in the Marines, Mr. Healy. And, but I think that's pretty much what I'd like to speak on. But Veterans Day is a day to honor all veterans and the parents of all veterans. And it doesn't mean buying them something. It means to say thank you to them for what they did. And in my case, that was 55 years ago that I was a veteran. I was a veteran for 1,000, well, you're a vet from the day you joined for the rest of your life, you're a veteran. They cannot take that away from you. But I served 1,461 days on active duty. And for some of the seniors who are listening to this, think back on Veterans Day when you were in the 8th grade. And from that time to today is how long a lot of these veterans served. And it does, 4 years don't sound like much until you think 4 years out of your own life. It's something that I would do again in a heartbeat. Well, if the two speakers, questions would come up, whoever they might be, wherever they might be, if they're in here. Oh, here they come. Man, if I knew they were going to wear shorts, I would have worn shorts.
What is the biggest lesson being in the Navy taught you?
I think most of the veterans can tell you the biggest thing that being in the service taught you, particularly at the very beginning, was you stood at attention to a senior person and said, "Yes, sir," "No, sir." And I think that might be one of the things that stays to me this day, because I still say yes, sir, no, sir to people who are senior to me in the military. And it doesn't mean in rank, but probably in age more than anything. Thank you.
At what age did you join, and what motivated you to do so?
I'll get the second part first. What motivated me? I hated my job. What made me, at what age? I was 19 years old. I was in during Vietnam. I had 6 friends from high school who all died before the age of 20. And I like to, I think of them on Memorial Day more than anything. The two most important days to a veteran are Veterans Day and Memorial Day. And I think Memorial Day is the most important because that is the day that we honor our veterans who passed, both while they were serving and since they served. You are still a veteran. If you're 90 years old and you passed, you are still a veteran. You need to be honored. Then the other day is Veterans Day, and that is the day we honor those who are still alive. So, you going to ask something?
I don't have a question, but we just all like to say thank you for being here. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's go with the word for it. And with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to me, and I hope everybody in the classrooms are still awake because we know we'd like to keep it short. Thank you very much.
I'd like to introduce Toby Humphreys, Junior Class President.
From the first skirmishes at Lexington and Concord, to the Civil War, to the liberation of Nazi-controlled Europe, American soldiers are celebrated for their vigor and bravery in combat. On 14 June 1775, the Second Continental Congress formed the Continental Army as a means for the 13 unified American colonies to fight the forces of Britain. George Washington was unanimously elected Commander-in-Chief of the fledgling army, and he would lead the colonies to victory and independence. Today, the Army is made up of more than 700,000 soldiers, including active duty and Army Reserve personnel. Army soldiers fill many roles. There are doctors, lawyers, and engineers. There are electricians, computer programmers, and helicopter pilots. There are police officers, logistics experts, and civil affairs representatives. The Army's constant need for a diverse range of individual soldiers, each with his or her own expertise, is what sets it apart from the other military branches. Would all members of the Army and the Army Reserves and Ohio's National Guard please stand to be recognized? I'd now like to introduce sophomore class president Maggie Arna.
Since its birth on October 13, 1775, the Navy has been involved with more than 10 major wars and countless battles in the effort to bring security, democracy, peace, and prosperity to the American people. It has stood as a constant deterrent against international aggression, fought the good fight when necessary, acted as a willing source of assistance to those in crisis or need around the globe, and moved humanity forward through everything from action to innovation. Today, the Navy is made up of over 326,000 active sailors and over 100,000 in the Navy Reserves. Would all members of the Navy and Navy Reserves please stand to be recognized? I'd now like to introduce Emma Cummins, Senior Class President.
The United States Marine Corps was founded in 1775, even before our nation was officially formed. This elite group of men and women live by a strict code of integrity and ethics, producing not just strong warriors, but people of exceptional character. The core values of honor, courage, and commitment inform everything a Marine does, on and off the battlefield. The Marine Corps plays a major role as the first force on the ground in most conflicts. Today, approximately 180,000 Marines are stationed around the world at all times, ready to deploy quickly whenever and wherever needed. The commitment ranges from 4 to 5 years of service, but as the saying goes, there are no ex-Marines or former Marines, simply Marines in different uniforms and in different phases of life. Would all members of the Marines please stand to be recognized? I'd now like to introduce Zach Early, Junior Class Vice President.
The Coast Guard is one of our nation's 5 military services. Founded in 1790, they exist to defend and preserve the United States. They protect the personal safety and security of our people, the marine transportation system and infrastructure, our natural and economic resources, and the territorial integrity of our nation from both internal and external threats, natural and man-made. They protect these interests in U.S. ports and inland waterways along the coast and on international waters. The Coast Guard is a military, multi-mission maritime force offering a unique blend of military, law enforcement, humanitarian, regulatory, and diplomatic capabilities. These capabilities underpin our 3 broad roles: maritime safety, maritime security, and maritime stewardship. There are currently over 80,000 members of the U.S. Coast Guard. Would all members of the Coast Guard please stand and be recognized? I'd now like to introduce Maggie Carver, Freshman Class President.
The Air Force began as a subdivision of the U.S. Army and was declared an official combat arm in 1920. It wasn't until 1947, following World War II, that the Air Force was recognized as its own military branch. The Air Force provides advanced hands-on training for hundreds of careers. Pilots and flight crews are just the tip of the iceberg. The Air Force relies on mechanic, electronic technicians, air traffic controllers, medical staff, and other personnel to fulfill its objectives. Today's Air Force operates in keeping with a 3-part vision: global vigilance, reach, and power. The vision empowers a technologically advanced force of more than 300,000 troops focused on air, space, and cyberspace security. Today, the Air Force has over 500,000 members in active duty, civilian employees, Air Force Reserve personnel, and Air National Guard personnel. Would all members of the Air Force please stand to be recognized? Now introducing Mill High School Principal Jason Tackett.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. I have a last-minute addition to our agenda, but it's a very special and very important addition to our agenda. At this time, I would like to call up Lynn Pano to join me at the podium. And she does not know that she is joining me. Lynn's husband, John, served in the United States Army in Vietnam. He is the grandfather of our current 8th grader, Lynn Boyd. Unfortunately, John passed away on July 7th, 2021. We would like to present Lynn Pano with this certificate signed by the President of the United States, awarded by a grateful nation in recognition of devoted and selfless consecration to the service of our country in honor of John Pano. I'd like to present this to you. At this time, I'd like to welcome elementary school principal Kevin Dunn for some closing remarks.
Good morning, everyone, and again, thank you for being here this morning. It's a beautiful moment. Our district has a character trait that they focus on each month throughout the school year. In November, we purposely choose gratefulness so that beginning in preschool all the way through our soon-to-be graduates, we develop an understanding of the importance of saying thank you and telling those around us that we appreciate all the different ways they help us. We hope that by focusing on these character traits that we develop servant leaders as Williamsburg High School graduates. And there's no better example of servant leadership than our veterans today. And we know that you could be many places today, but the fact that you choose to come here and be with us, I hope you fully understand the opportunity that you continue to provide by providing a powerful teaching moment to even our youngest students who are watching via stream at the elementary school of what servant leadership looks like and how they can better understand the many ways they can contribute to their communities and make our world a better place. So on behalf of everyone in our district, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for choosing to be a part of our ceremony today. We look forward to welcoming you back next year. Thank you and take care.